Good evening, Interworld. Sergeant Slack here from Banana Bun Productions. We're back in World of Warcraft and on my warrior sesquipedal, and going to do something different today. This is a little bit of gameplay that I recorded on Temple of Cot Magoo, and good dear. Yeah, so I've recorded the footage first because I was collecting stuff for some a prop PvP montage, but I've decided to use this footage to do something different and to just kind of talk to you guys about the game and see how that goes, because it's not something that I generally tend to do, and but then I don't generally have a topic in mind like this that I want to talk about. So what I want to talk about is misconceptions of patch 5.1 in particular, but misconceptions of Mists of Pandaria, because Mists of Pandaria it feels and plays like a totally different game than Cataclysm ever did, and this is something that I've noticed in this expansion much more than in previous expansions. Like going from vanilla to BC, it was quite a smooth transition. They just gave us a lot of the things that people had been saying that they wanted with all the new subscriber base, and yeah, it flowed very well. Wrath of the Lich King I had many problems with. I stopped playing the game twice during Wrath of the Lich King and came back and left. And this was partly to do with all the horrible nerfing that warriors took in Wrath of the Lich King, and it was partly to do with the fact that I was getting better and I was still in my BC mindset, and just the whole Wrath of the Lich King game aesthetic never clicked with me. Not so much the snow and the ice, because I kind of like that, but more the play aesthetic. It just didn't sit with me. It didn't go down well. Cataclysm rolled around and I started playing again, and then I decided partway through Cataclysm that I was going to change my gaming because I wasn't satisfied with it and I wasn't happy with it, and it was kind of pointless wasting all this time and money and effort at a game that I wasn't enjoying that much. And I changed my gaming. I started doing die over clicker, I started being a non-clicker, and a lot of things clicked for me, like with Cataclysm, with arms in particular. I'd never played arms before. I hated arms back in vanilla and BC, and I never tried it in Wrath because, well, Fury and two-handers, I mean, yeah. Mists of Pandaria is a totally different game to Cataclysm. It feels and plays like a total different game, and more so than other expansions in the past, you need to forget everything you knew about your character in the past. They've changed the game that much. So this is what I mean when it's a totally different game. From vanilla to BC, you could carry a lot of your playstyle over. Not anymore. This is not something you can do with Pandaria. I've had to relearn arms, and I've had to relearn a lot of other things. So a few misconceptions I had about the game. I was still gemming strength over PvP power and resi. Now in Cataclysm there was resi and it was not that useful. You could stack resi to the hilt and it would not help you. So resi wasn't that useful. Now in Pandaria, PvP power and resi are so useful. I mean, I've learned this through playing prop warrior now, because I've mixed it up and I've played a different aspect to my character, and I've learnt a lot of new things about the game in general and about my character from doing that. The next thing I wanted to mention was the defensive play style and the importance of it. This is illustrated by warriors in particular, because now defensive stance is great. It gives you a 25% damage reduction from no damage given loss. I mean, that's awesome. And from playing prop for a while, where the focus is more on staying alive and mucking around the other team a little bit more, running interference as it were, then I've learned a lot about what I should be doing as an arms warrior when it comes to defensive playing. I mean, in the past it's just been, oh, pop my macro and carry on with it, but no, there's a hell of a lot more I can be doing. Getting out of the way of damage, avoiding the way of damage, that kind of stuff. So this brings me on to my next point quite nicely, which is recording my gameplay and watching the footage back. It's a hell of a lot easier to spot what you're doing wrong after the fact, because I decided to make this video because I've got a few friends who are quite disillusioned, and I've been quite disillusioned with Pandaria. You know, their character's been changed, they're not getting on with a new playstyle, and it could ruin the game for you. That's the reason I've stopped playing Warcraft in the past, but I've always come back to it because it scratches an itch which not many other games do. So learning a different aspect of your character, from playing pro I've had to play defensive because I can't play offensive because I don't do the damage that I need to as an offensive character. But going defensive, I've learned a hell of a lot more about how to play defensive as my arms warrior. It's not just about throwing your defensive cooldowns in a macro together, spamming that once and carrying on trying to blitz and burst. That's not going to help. You know, if you're going to play defensive, you need to completely change. You need to have a total defensive play style, which you then switch into, and you're capable of switching. What makes a good player is being capable of switching from that defensive play style to the offensive play style, and to switching between the things, to mitigating damage when it comes in. Because PvP isn't all about damage like it is in PvE. There's a hell of a lot more involved to it, and I've started to notice this a bit more, and I've started to play a bit more because that's what I was trying to do. But one thing that's been really helpful for me doing this has been recording my footage and watching it back. I'm watching the footage back, and there's situations where I'm like, oh, there, I should be on that character. Why am I focusing in and here on all the person receiving all the healing? I should be trying to CC and deal with the healer that's on really low health right on the edge of my screen. And I'm just not looking at it. I've been focused in the wrong areas for so long, and I'm starting to have a lot more fun with the game. Like, playing as Prot has been so much fun recently because I can do a hell of a lot more as Prot, and in PvP, where it's not all just about damage, I can do a hell of a lot more because I'm alive for so much longer, and I'm running so much more interference and pestering healers and things that it just makes it's a big lift for my team. So although personally I'm not like doing the deeps and topping the damage charts like everyone kind of wants to be that plays deeps, then I'm doing a hell of a lot more to help my team. So on the topic of watching your footage back and learning from your mistakes, I was watching some arena stuff the other day that I was doing for a bit of a laugh as Prot, and I was doing this with my GM, Hunter Hell, who plays a Retri Pally, and Retri Pallies aren't getting much love in PvP at the moment. They're kind of useless. I mean, even with a Retri Pally in full PvP gear, popping wings and things, the damage is enough that you can control it on a non-defensive character, let alone on a defensive character like a Prot warrior. So, to my last point, which is the importance of Ventrilo of TeamSpeak. I mean, I realise it's not possible for everyone to have Ventrilo or TeamSpeak, but most people can have Skype, but if you're only doing 2s, 3s, Skype is fine, and it will do what it is. But I've noticed through commentating and through watching my commentary footage back that there's times when it would be really beneficial for the other person to know what I'm saying. Like, I'm doing the commentary for you guys out there in the interworld, but my teammate would really benefit from doing that. So there's times when I'm like, right, so now the plan is we switch onto the lock and we all pound the lock, and then I'm there pounding on the lock and my teammate is off doing something else to his own game plan. So I mean, this is one thing that can help your PvP in general, is all being on the same page and all having a game plan. So as it's sort of like the time of the new year and resolutions and things, I thought I'd chat about a few of these misconceptions that I've had of my gameplay in Fact 5.1. And hopefully you can turn the retrospective glass on yourself at this time of year, have a look at your own gameplay and maybe even your own life if that's what you're thinking about at the moment, and see what you can do, see how you're holding yourself back, and see how you can make some positive changes that can impact your gameplay and your life in general. So, this is Sergeant Slack from Banana Productions saying thanks very much for watching this video. Comment, like, subscribe, tell me if you like this sort of thing. Tell me if you'd like to see more of this, more of like a vloggy kind of style where I talk about different issues of the game, and I will catch you soon. Ta-ra!